The best type of women are the ones that you build. They're like IKEA. You know how you get your furniture from IKEA? It's flat packed. But once you build it, it looks amazing. The best type of woman that you can get your hands on is a woman that is easy to build. Habibi, before you enjoy this video, do your boy a solid. I've got a goal to hit 7,500 subscribers by the end of June. So like the video and subscribe the channel. Jazakallah khair.
Hello guys and welcome back. In this episode we're going to be looking specifically at this one picture. Yes, okay, I'll admit from the start, I was scrolling through Instagram and she caught my eye. I'm an ass man and I like black women, okay? But what caught my attention more was in the background. You see that guy sat there and you think to yourself, just look at him, okay? You've got this scenario where if it was just a shot of him, his wife or girlfriend, somebody who's had his children, it looks to be, I mean, hopefully I'm not being offensive here, but I believe she's pregnant again, okay? So she's going to mother two of his children, and he's got his kid there with him. He could not give two shits, okay? He could not give a fuck about his wife, let's say his wife, his pregnant wife, and his kids at that moment in time. Why? Because he's looking at this woman's ass. He's looking at her in general, her body. The look that he's giving.
Number one, a man is going to look, regardless of how beautiful or how many women he has. That is the way you have been created. The first fallacy here, and this speaks to just the lack of experience with women on first man's behalf, and I hate to say it, the gentleman produces a lot of good content, but this speaks to a huge lack of experience with women. If you had the most beautiful woman in the world on your arm, if you had the 10 most beautiful women in the world on your arm, if you had the 100 most beautiful women in the world on your arm, you'd still look at that girl over there, and that one there, and if that one's got a little bit of booty, that one there too, and that one there, and that one there. It never changes. That appetite is insatiable. There's an underlying fallacy here, and that fallacy is, if I have a woman that's beautiful enough, I'm not going to look elsewhere. And obviously the gentleman's woman next to him here, she's not looking her greatest. Maybe the shot is not the greatest shot. She looks tired. Who knows? Whatever. Okay? And this is clearly a flattering shot of this young lady here. The point is this: it don't matter how many beautiful women you got, rude boy. You're going to always want and look at more. Now, of course, as a Muslim, if you're a Muslim, قُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ يَغُضُّوا مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِمْ وَيَحْفَظُوا فُرُوجَهُم. Tell the believing men and believing women, for that matter, I think I missed a part of the ayah, to lower their gaze and protect their private parts. So you shouldn't look. But the innate desire is there.
Guys, it's something that I never want myself or any of you guys a situation to ever be in, which is just feeling lost. He clearly would rather be with that woman. I would say, given maybe he's just looking, right? But I think if we got inside that guy's head, if we sat him down, he would probably leave his woman, his wife, whatever, in a heartbeat to be with this other woman. The thing is,
and this is why Islam is so perfect. Before we listen to what our brother Hamza has to say here, you don't need to leave your woman to be with another woman, rude boy. You just wife up the next one as well. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. It's not that deep. And again, this is why I believe that a lot of Western men are putting off marriage, because they know they got one shot. They got one woman to get it right with. Just answer me this, all right? Let's say you marry the most beautiful woman on the planet. Drop dead gorgeous, blah, blah, blah. But you're only allowed one woman. 30 years later, what do you think she's going to look like? That beauty fades. The same woman that we just saw here, her beauty is going to fade. The beauty fades. She's going to have your children. Her body will change. Then what? Then what?
That guy could cope and give excuses, but we as men, we all know whether or not we want to admit it, exactly what he's feeling. For some reason, we can all relate to that guy where he's in a relationship right now and he's just seen a woman who's better in a certain sense. She seems to captivate more of his interest than his actual wife does. And it would be so easy for us to cope and just say, oh no, he's just looking for the picture. He's looking because he's sexually interested in her probably more than he is with his wife. Because maybe this is heartless, but just from looking at the picture, the woman, the model in the blue who's being full.
This is so immature. Oh, Lord, give me strength. I just got one question. Do any of Hamza and First Man, do you gentlemen have experience of being in a long-term relationship where you lived with a woman full-time for a meaningful period of time, minimum 24 months? Do you have that? Let me tell you something. No matter how beautiful your woman or women are, okay, I've been married to attractive women, multiple women at the same time. It doesn't matter how attractive your woman is. You will always have the instinctual urge to look elsewhere at women sometimes that are even less attractive than what you've got at home. Believe me, women who are less attractive than what you've got at home, and you will still have that urge to look. It's just, you can't help it. It's nothing to do with, oh, I wish I could have replaced. Bro, that's just how you're wired. It's how you are.
Photograph does seem to be like a lot more attractive than the woman that he's with, and he can't help but like look over and fantasize about her.
Click his fingers and like, yeah, done. You know, the son or the son or daughter who's on the way, that's a different scenario. But I guarantee if you said you can just visit, you can visit your kids, you can have them on weekends, and you can be with this other woman, he would again click his fingers and probably jump ship. It's very sad to see. This guy might be happy. Who knows? We might ask him and he might say, no, look, I was just looking, I was curious. You look at that kind of poise on his face. It's kind of a feeling of, or a look of bewilderment. He's thinking, how on earth, and you might not find her attractive, but he's thinking clearly there, like, how on earth does this woman look like this? I wish I could have a woman like that in my life, but I don't. And he might be thinking, I couldn't get a woman like that, which is what a lot of guys get to.
I would.
Oh my God, that got too deep too quickly, bro. I'm telling you, he's looking at that and he's thinking, man, I just want to tap that. I wish I could tap that. But he's not necessarily thinking, oh, I wish I could swap this one out for that one. Unless his wife's an utter bitch, and this is pure conjecture at this point. Unless his wife is just an absolute nightmare to live with. Believe me, he's not thinking, I wish I could swap this with this one out and bring this one in. Now he's thinking, I want them both at the same time. I want them both. Islam, perfect. 4 wives, no problem.
Was there. I remember about 1 or 2 years ago when I was in the middle of like my monk mode phase. I'd moved back home to my parents' house. I was broke as fuck. I was literally on benefits. So in the UK we have this thing called universal credit, which is kind of like government welfare. I was broke as fuck, living with my parents, trimming my own hair. Had lost my physique. I wasn't very attractive and stuff. I remember there was points when either I would look through Instagram or I would see like attractive women, and it would be that sense of bewilderment, thinking like, wait, how do like this? There's actually like hot girls like this. Like, why can't I get them? You can probably relate to that, and it's such a depressing feeling to have as a man, to think like, why am I not good enough for that? Why are those type of women like never interested in me?
Ever get to that situation where you believe that women like that are untouchable and you're kind of stuck with what you've got? Or what makes me more sad is settling in life early on. He's clearly not improved himself along the way, right? No offense to this guy, he's a good guy, I don't want to put him on blast. He's kind of dad-bodied, he's just wearing the dad shorts and dad t-shirts, nothing wrong with that. He's just kind of met a woman, I'd assume, I am assuming here. He's just met a woman, he's thinking, I've been probably rejected or turned down by a lot of women in the past. This woman wants me, let's have some kids, let's go down the traditional route so that I don't feel alone and I don't feel lost in this world.
Although this is, again, conjecture, there's a strong possibility, first man here, that makes a point in that most men take whatever they can get, because most men are, or a large percentage of men today are sexless. And the moment a woman says, yes, I do, I'll wife up with you, he's like, yo, I'm there, I'm on that. But this is a whole bunch of conjecture. But again, I understand the sentiment that there's a strong possibility that this is the case, that the gentleman doesn't have many options. But to make this assumption, dad bod and so on, bro, have you seen Bill Gates? Have you seen Bill Gates, bro? Let me pull Bill Gates up for you. Rumor has it that, the pregnancy emoji on the iPhone, this one here. Rumor has it that this is actually Bill Gates. Can you see any difference between this and this? Don't tell me Bill Gates didn't self-improve, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, some guys just don't care about their physiques. It's not right, I don't agree with it. But some guys just don't care. They just got too much money to care. Have you seen Leonardo DiCaprio? Have you seen Leonardo DiCaprio? Let me just pull up Leo. Man is looking extremely unflattering. That's a dad bod if ever I saw one.
But then when he comes across a woman like that, he can't take his eyes off her, which is actually sad for the woman that he's with and his kids, because you're like, you don't even want to be there. You just kind of fell down that trap.
This is the huge issue, and this is why so many older men are telling you never get complacent. Set higher standards for everything in life, especially for the relationships that you get into. It's so important you take this seriously. Set higher standards for yourself. You do not want to be in a position where you feel like you got complacent, but you have like ties to someone who you don't really want to be with. All you're doing is wasting time and potential. And I can really relate to this because I got into a relationship, like a long-term relationship with a girl that I lived with, who I didn't even like that much. Like, I had bonded with her, we had connected that well, but I never saw her like that highly. I didn't really respect her that much. I was physically and sexually attracted to her, but not to like a crazy high level, and I wasn't attracted to like her personality or her habits. I settled, but when you stay with someone for so long, and you especially go to that next level of a relationship where you live together, things are different. You might have never experienced this.
I would say that if that's the case, as Hamza is saying, that you didn't settle, you simply bought what you could afford. You didn't qualify for anything better than that in the first place. Hence why I understand the sentiment, self-improvement, la-di-da-di-da. I'm all down for that, okay? But that's not settling. That's simply buying what you had credit for. That's simply using the money that you had on the credit card. That's all you could buy, rude boy. That's all you could afford. That's not settling. You just didn't qualify for anything better than that in the first place.
just yet, but please believe me when I say you do not want to be in a serious relationship with a woman that you think you're settling for.
There was nothing else on offer, and you kind of just went with somebody who wants you, but you secretly don't really want them. It's just better than jerking off on a Saturday night, right? And I find that sad. I find that sad for two reasons. It's harsh on the family, especially the woman who, someone else might really love her. You think there's the other side of the coin where that guy wanted more in life. He's clearly got some level of female aspirations or female ambition. He clearly wanted a woman that was better looking. Now, the woman that he's with might be a better woman, okay? But he clearly wanted something else, but he never went for it. And this is what happens when you kind of go down that traditional route and you get frightened about being alone. You get frightened about being single. You can't handle 3 or 4 years of no sex, no women, no attention, girls rejecting you. You can't handle that. The guys who do, the guys who go, I'm just going to take it on the chin for the time being because I know once I've built myself to a certain point, I'm going to have women like this coming after me, or at least I'll put myself in a position and give myself the opportunity to say yes or no to them, or at least go up to them and have a chance, right? But what I'm seeing in this picture, and like I said, I don't want to put this guy on blast because it could have been anybody. This happens a million times a fucking day, right? So many guys are doing this. But in this scenario, you just think this guy just looks lost. You can see the look on his face. He is really just contemplating his life and thinking this woman's better than what I've got. God damn, I'd love to sleep with her.
Or he could just be looking at that booty and thinking, boy, that's some round booty, rude boy. Men will always look. What's the solution here that I'm telling you guys is that I'm not telling you to just wife up whatever you can wife up, even if you don't really. That's not what I'm telling you. Self-improvement, etc. I'm down with that, 100%. But I am saying to you, and you need to know this. You need to know this. It does not matter how beautiful your wife is. It doesn't matter how beautiful your woman is. You will always look. Let me say, you will always look. You'll look at a woman who's half as beautiful as your woman, a quarter as beautiful, just because she happens to have nice proportions. Believe me, trust and believe. Having the most beautiful woman or women on your arm doesn't change that.
For one night, I'd love to. Why doesn't my wife look like that, etc. And it's a harsh thing to say, but we all know as men that that's the way we think. We might see someone who's way hotter than the woman we've got, and we'll be like, I need to get the fuck out, or something like, but then again, can I get a woman like that?
I like what he said there, that we as men can all relate to this feeling. And it's a very dark feeling. Now, if you were in that situation and you had a good woman who you had a child with, a good relationship with, and there was just a woman who just piqued your sexual curiosity, if you were a good man, you would feel that feeling of lust and just move on from it like it wasn't a big deal. But the truth is that would actually be quite difficult to do. Chances are, you're not the total Adonis just yet. I'm not either. We would get a sense of sadness and depression and just be thinking fuck, I wish I could fuck her, but I've already got a relationship and I really do like my.
And once again, I believe the reason that this feeling would be aroused in you in the first place, the feeling of I wish I could be with that, is simply because you've locked yourself down to one woman, to the false narrative of monogamy, that one man should be with just one woman. This is just not true. This is not just not true, especially for a high-flying man. He would feel that all the more, the proverbial high-value man, high-earning man, high social status and so on, especially that guy who knows that he has options. He has women flocking at his feet, and he's not exercising those options. That would definitely induce sadness inside you. 100%. Islam, solution, perfect. 4 wives, no problem. Not an issue. You don't have to have the full package in one woman. Let me tell you something. Even if you found the full package in this one woman, she's submissive, she's kind, she's peaceful, she's beautiful, her body is amazing, she's polite, she farts roses, everything, the full 9. 30 years later, she's going to be wrinkled and older and postmenopausal. Her testosterone levels will be slightly higher and her estrogen levels will be slightly lower, and she's not going to be as nice as when you first married her. Now what? You're pinning all your hopes on one woman. That's too much pressure and too much expectation. You've got four options to fill. 4 options to fill. You don't need to put all that pressure on just one.
Woman.
I think that's bad. I just think if you're in that scenario where you want better women, but you believe you can't get them, then that's the time to just get out of the game for 2, 3 years, 4, 5 years, go and improve. But you don't want to get too old. You get to late 40s, early 50s, and you're thinking, maybe I missed the boat here. Maybe I played my cards too early. I've got a mortgage, 2 kids, I've got a wife, we got married, I've got a steady job, I've got to keep this whole boat afloat.
And First Man makes a good point there, by the way. Yeah, if you're feeling like that, your sexual market value is not where you want it to be, take a couple years out of the game. No problem. So long as you don't commit haram and zina and so on, take a couple years out of the game. And if you're feeling like you can't hold yourself, then No Strings Nikah. Links in the description. Because some women don't want all the strings of nikah. They just want some of the strings. And some of them want none of the strings. Links in the description.
And then this like 21-year-old comes along looking unbelievable, and like I said, it might not be your type, guys, but we've all seen a situation like this, right? It was just one that I found. But you see like a 21-year-old looking unbelievable, and yeah, she might not be a quality woman, she might get on your nerves, but having the opportunity to actually choose is what I think a lot of guys miss out on, from just believing that they can't do it, that they can't get a woman like that, or they're not willing to wait. They're willing to settle down now with, like I said, she could be a wonderful woman, I'm not denying that, but they're willing to settle down now with somebody that wants them that might be like a 4 out of 10, compared to waiting 8 years and going on like a 5-year dry spell, and then being able to land women like that because they built themselves up, they've got in the gym for 3-4 years straight, they've become super successful, etc.
That's fair enough. I'm down for that. That's fair enough. Completely fair. Women are, men must become. It is what it is. And if you have to go through that dry spell, so be it. You have to go through that dry spell. It is what it is. And if you need a little taken care of in the interim, we've got No Strings Nikah for you. Links in the description.
I think that we have to clarify that this message of not settling, not being complacent, that should be for the early years of your life before you've really developed yourself up as a man. Now, if you're already in like the middle of like a good relationship, as that father who is in that picture with that model, it's like, it's too late. You've made your choice, you have to stick to it. The advice that First Man is giving here is to not get into that situation in the first place. Hold off on a relationship up until you meet a woman who like really, really, really impresses you in all different ways, and then commit and then get into the relationship. So many young men just settle and get complacent with like the first woman that shows them attention, because you know how the dating life is for most young men.
This sounds like good advice. Just wait until you meet a woman who really, really, really impresses you. But then I would ask Hamza and I would ask First Man, have you met that woman yet? Do you know of these women who exist? They sound like unicorns, frankly speaking. Allah says in the Quran, فَإِن كَرِهْتُمُوهُنَّ فَعَسَىٰ أَن تَكْرَهُوا شَيْئًا وَيَجْعَلَ اللَّهُ فِيهِ خَيْرًا كَثِيرًا. And if you find something in your wife or wives that you dislike, then sometimes you dislike something, but Allah places much good therein. Have you met these unicorns, Hamza? Have you met these unicorns, First Man? Are you in a relationship with them? If so, for how long? How many years have you been in a relationship with these unicorns? If you haven't, do you know of men who are in a relationship with these unicorns, these women who impress you on all levels? Because I can tell you they don't exist. There will always be some deficiency of some sort in a woman, just as there will be in you for that matter. The question is it a deal breaker issue or not? We're not looking for perfection here, and I don't think, to be fair to Hamza and First Man, that they're touting that. Every woman, and man for that matter, is going to have a fault or a flaw of some sort. The best advice I could give you is to find a woman who, generally speaking, she ticks all your boxes. And those flaws and those irritations, those irritating things about her, they're not deal breaker things. So long as they're not deal breakers, live with it. It is what it is.
And it's like you're quite deprived from intimacy and love and sex. So then eventually, after years of not really getting much attraction from girls, when you do finally have a woman who's interested in you, it's so easy to just like jump straight onto it without actually thinking, wait, is this actually the woman that I want to have like a serious long-term relationship with? Do not commit to a relationship in which you think you are settling in any way. People may disagree with this advice and say, no, it's like, you know, that's silly, it's too much self-improvement. But just ask yourself with common sense, like, do you really want to be in a relationship with someone that you think isn't really that great? How long could that relationship last? You should have so much respect for yourself and also your future woman to think that you're going to wait up until you meet someone who really, really impressed, like someone who you're so excited for. You're literally thinking, wait, this is like an amazing person. Holy crap, I can't believe I've attracted her. You don't want to settle in a relationship just because you're lonely and you're thinking, oh, well, you know, this person.
These are both sides of the same coin. These are both opposite ends of the same extreme. Of course, on the one hand, you don't want to just take the first thing that you can get, and I'm down for that. A woman that you don't even really like, but because you've got no other outlet, you're just taking her anyway. I'm with you. But then, on the other end of this extreme is she someone who really blows you away on all fronts? Because no woman is going to blow you away on all fronts. There are some women who are better, and some women who are worse. And even better than that, better advice that I can give you is the best type of women are the ones that you build. They're like IKEA. You know how you get your furniture from IKEA? It's flat packed, but once you build it, it looks amazing. The best type of woman that you can get your hands on is a woman that is easy to build. She's buildable. She's malleable. She's coachable. Because there's some diamonds in the rough. Not even diamonds. There's just some women who are good girls. They're good women, but they need some masculine direction and guidance, and they just lack it for whatever reason. Maybe she doesn't have a father, or maybe I don't know what's happened to her. She doesn't have that masculine direction and guidance. But if she had it, she would be a pleasure to be around. Build your ideal woman. So long as the foundations are there, so long as all the nuts and bolts in the IKEA flat pack are there and it can be assembled to look beautiful, you are the one who has to build it. You just got to make sure that she has all the foundations in place.
Still likes me.
For example, I've just gone through a breakup. Right? The easy one, because we're both quite fair. You know, we wanted different things. She wanted marriage, she wanted kids. Well, not necessarily marriage, but she would have preferred it. But she wanted kids in the next couple of years. And I said, look, I don't want kids for like another 12 to 15 years. So we're both on different timelines. Maturely, we just said, let's go separate ways, but stay in touch as friends. Along the way, you obviously get moments where you're like, will we be better off together? Will we? And I stopped myself the other day and I was like, just why are you not working like crazy on yourself?
Let me just touch on that point first before we continue. I don't want children for another 12 to 15 years. That means what? Mid-40s? We have to change the narrative around children. Because there is a narrative in the personal development space, particularly in this masculine excellence or masculine improvement space, that you should hold off on children for as long as possible, and then once all the puzzle pieces have fell into place. You know, I can't tell you how beautiful it is growing up with your child. I'm not saying to do what I did and get married at 16 and then have 3 kids by 19. I'm not telling you to do that, because to be honest, that's a bit fast as well. Just a bit. Teeny bit. But it's a beautiful thing growing up with your children. Your kids are like your friends. I'm 32 now. My oldest son is nearly 16. The one after him is nearly 15. They're like my brothers. We train together. We go out together. The way I talk to them now is more of a friendly relationship as opposed to father-son, because that's that age. It's beautiful. And for you to hold off, all right, you're going to have kids at 45. Your first child at 45. By the time the kid is 20, you're approaching retirement, bruv. That's dead. That's dead. And I'm not telling you to dive headfirst, because I understand the ramifications of having children in the West in particular are heavy and hard. Ask me how I know. I've been through the court systems. I know all of this, but I would never change it. I would never change it for all the hardship and difficulty I went through with my ex of not seeing my children for X number of years and on and on and on and on. I wouldn't change a thing. I wouldn't change a thing, because it's so beautiful growing up with your child and he's not that far in age to you, and have many children as well, not just 1 or 2. What's the point in becoming the high value man if you've got 1 or 2 kids? Dead. You need to have 10 minimum.
To just get to such a high level where you don't really have to think about that, because you have so many options that you can just breeze that off your shoulders, you know? And it's nothing against the ex-girlfriend, love her to bits, but at moments like this, you get to a crossroads where you're like, either you settle and you downgrade and you go, I just need comfort, I just need somebody to hold at night. Or you go, fuck it, how far can I take this? And then I'm single, I've got time, I've got money, I can put everything into this. You know, you just push it forwards. And that's why I've started the fitness journey. That's why I'm doubling down on hours on First Man. That's why I'm putting a ton of money into the shirts and probably into the streaming platform in the next 6 months, which I would have done anyway, but I've like doubled down on everything. Like I said, the fitness journey, I've started taking it seriously now. I've started contacting places about potential hair transplants, because I'm like, why not? Why not just put all these things in place and become the perfect man? You know, and I've entertained these ideas and I've gone like double hard in the paint on this thing, because I don't want to end up like that guy. I don't want to end up like that guy that gets to 40 years old. You're with some, I'm not saying this about me.
I've touched on this point in the past, this psychological phenomena, and I'm going to touch on it again because it's relevant. First man is mentioned here, I don't want to end up like that guy. Robert Greene talks about, in his book, The Laws of Human Nature, of how sometimes we define ourselves in reverse. And he was referring specifically to parents. For example, my dad was very strict, therefore I'm going to be extremely lenient and liberal with my children. Or I had no freedom when I was younger, so I'm going to give my kids all the freedom in the world. Or I had too much freedom when I was younger and that didn't work out too well, so I'm going to be extremely strict with my children. This is all defining yourself in reverse. You are still using that example that you don't like as the benchmark to define your future by, or to define your future actions by. And usually, if that's an extreme, then what you have come up with is also an extreme. It's just the opposite end of the extreme, the other side. But they are 2 sides of the same coin, and you have to be careful with that. Hence why I say, okay, don't rush, don't dive headfirst into any relationship that you can get your hands on and so on. You don't need to have kids at 16, 17, 18 like I did. That's absolutely fine. But delay till you're 45? You're a granddad, bro. You're a granddad. That's old, bruv, to be having your first kid voluntarily at 45 years old. Let me stress that. If you have voluntarily delayed it for that long, you're old. It's a different type of relationship that you're going to have with your children. It's more like a granddad and grandchild relationship as opposed to a father and a son or father and a daughter type relationship. It's a different type of relationship. It is what it is.
In order to get the women that you want, the top level women, like I was listening to a Mike Thurston video the other day, and he said that he was sat, I think, in Newcastle, and he was dreaming about being in like Dubai or London, driving along in a nice car. I think it was Marbella. He visited there on holiday. He was working as a bar member there, and he said he believed he was better than that. And he was like, he saw the guys driving around in expensive cars with like a 10 next to them, and he was like, shit, that's what I want. I want to be in a Lamborghini with a 10 next to me. And I'm not saying that's what life is about, but we're all happier when we have a beautiful woman on our arm. You know, it helps if she's nice, if she's got a good personality. But usually the better looking the woman, apparently, the happier the man is in the marriage.
Apparently. A beautiful woman is a beautiful thing to have. 100%. But you know, a beautiful woman with a crappy attitude is a bloody nightmare. Equally, a less attractive woman with a beautiful personality, peace. One word I can describe her. Peace. If I had to find a word to describe a woman that really lights your heart up, it's a woman who is able to give you peace. She's a home. She's the home that you come home to. She's the home inside the home. Peace. Beautiful woman, that's all well and good. That's great. There tends to be a relationship between extremely beautiful women and crappy attitudes. Not all the time, I would say, but a lot of the time, because they know they've got so many options. And it messes up their character and their attitude and their behavior towards you. You would have heard some men say, you know what, I'd much rather take like an adjustable 6 as opposed to a 9 or a 10 if the adjustable 6 has a much nicer character. Because there's something to be said about a woman who knows she's not as attractive as the 9s and 10s, but she works, she compensates for that deficiency or that lack in her efforts to please you. Oh yes. She compensates in that department because she doesn't have those God-given looks, 9 and a 10 out of 10. She doesn't have it. So she works harder to please you. Beautiful. She doesn't have to be, she can still be attractive, an attractive woman. She's just not as beautiful as these stunners here, these dime pieces, right? But where she lacks in that department, she overcompensates in her attitude towards you. You can't buy that, my friend.
The relationship. That's studies that I've seen. And you think, why deprive yourself of that?
You know, one of the things that I've kept in mind for so long up until just a few months ago was devaluing the attractiveness in the woman that I was interested in, saying that, you know, it's not that important, I don't really care so much, like personality is more important. And I still somewhat agree, yes, personality is probably more important in like a long-term relationship. You have to like really like the person, get along with them, but make sure you don't cope like I did. Make sure that you actually hold like good standards for the attractiveness for the woman that you want to date, because that's so important in this modern day. It's like, it's so humble to say like, oh, you know, it's not important for me. But the truth is, yes, it is. It's so socially desirable to say like, oh no, but I don't really care. But 100%, yes, you do.
These are two sides of the same extreme coin. To say that it's the most important thing, and to say, I don't really care. Those are two sides of the same coin. They're both extremes. They're both copes. Both of them, they're both copes. The truth is, you want a woman that you're attracted to, and she's peaceful to be around. Peace. One word, peace. لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا, as Allah says in the Quran. So that you may find peace and tranquility inside her. Peace. Those are two extremes, both of them. The dime piece, the beautiful dime piece, and, oh, I don't care about looks. No, of course looks are important. You must be attracted to her. That's a deal breaker. It's very important. But you want to look for that girl who has that combination of you're attracted to her and she's peaceful. She's peaceful. All right, guys, there's still a bit more of that video to react to, but the video's already gone on a bit long. If you enjoyed that, hit the like. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to hit 7,500 subs before the end of June. So please do help me out with that. And if you enjoyed this video here, I've got another video here of me reacting to First Man. And here of me, of me reacting to Hamza.